I'm Brakti Hawa Brakatha, Yahusha, Brakti Hawa Brakatha, Yahusha, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, salutations to you, sincere brothers, teaching in truth and in sincerity. Lesson will be entitled, King David shall rise out of his bed. Lord will, you are edified. First source, etymon, and according to the etymon, context means a composition, a chronicle, the entire text of a writing, hence a entire chapter of the Holy Bible. Context also goes into a joining together, okay? Again, context, a composition, a chronicle, the entire text of a writing, such as Jeremiah chapter 30. All right, now, the focal point for this lesson is that King David will be raised up. However, prophecies has to be manifested prior to the Most High raising King David up from his bed, meaning the spiritual realm, if you can receive this in the spirit. Jeremiah 30:1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord Yahweh, saying, Thus speak the Lord Yahweh, power of Israel, saying, Write you all the words that I have spoken unto you in a book. Verse 3, For lo, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah, and bring again the captivity, meaning Yahweh is going to save the elect by the hand of Yahushua, okay? Releasing us from Esau's enslavement or captivity. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. The land is referring to Israel. Verse 4, And these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spoke concerning Israel and concerning Judah, right? Verse 5, For thus said the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. And guess what? We are in the entry phase of this prophecy. And a major focal point in verse 3. For lo, the days come. This is future tense, okay? Meaning this is about to happen. Verse 6. Ask you now and see whether a man do travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins. Now, your loins is a representation for your mind. So if a man has his hands on his loins, meaning he has his hands on his head. As a woman in travail, meaning that man on earth as well as woman on earth are about to experience some dire and trying circumstances, and all faces are turned into paleness. Paleness in the Hebrew is a representation for anxiety or anxious behavior. Why? Because of what people will witness on earth. It will be very extreme, okay? Verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. So this day is referring to what? It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. Trouble in the Hebrew means straight. Strait, which means what? A position of difficulty. But he, referring to the elect out of Israel, shall be saved out of it. And you Israelites are you so-called Negroes, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans based on the lineage of your fathers. Okay? And Jeremiah 30:6 is a brief synopsis of what will happen going into Jeremiah 30:7. Hence context, right? Verse 8, for it shall come to pass in that day. All right, again, future tense. And guess what? We are in the entry phases of Jacob's trouble. Saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and will burst your bonds, and no strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Let's read this in the NIV. And that day declares the Lord Yahweh Almighty, I will break the yoke off their necks and will tear off their bonds. Going back into what? Jeremiah 30:3. I will bring again the captivity of my people, meaning I will break the yoke off their necks and will tear off their bonds. No longer with Slakia, no longer will foreigners enslave them, turning back the captivity. Okay? Is also defined in Jeremiah 30:8. I will break the yoke off their necks and will tear off their bonds. No longer will foreigners, beginning with the Edomites. And guess what? These other nations are their joint heirs. Enslave them. Enslave who? The nation of Israel. Verse 9. But they shall serve the Lord Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. A major focal point. We cannot serve the Lord Yahweh, our power, and David our king, whom the Most High will raise up until Jeremiah 30:7 is exercised and completed, until Revelation 13:16 is exercised and completed, until WW3 is exercised and completed. Okay? Jeremiah 30:9 cannot be manifested until those two major prophecies, right? Going into Revelation 13:6, Revelation 13:16, and also WW3 is manifested and completed. Then the Most High is going to raise up King David unto them, who? The Israelites, beginning with the elect. All right, but let's continue. Therefore, fear you not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save you from afar, and your seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Right, so Jeremiah chapter 30 is extremely important to read the entire chapter in context to understand how we will eventually serve Yahweh and King David. All right, now I will not read this entire chapter for the sake of time. Now, when we focus on I will raise up, and it's Strong's H6965, pronounced as Quam, in the Hebrew, right? Now, according to the Brown Driver Briggs lexicon, it means specifically 1A, after lying down, sleep, sickness, mourning. Also 50 times from lying dead. If you can receive this in the spirit, King David is sleeping in his bed, meaning his spirit resides in the spiritual realm, right? Further proof, right? So let's get out of here and go back to the same Hebrew term, quam, and it means what? To arise from a seat, from bed, meaning what? Let's go to Isaiah 57 and verse 1. The righteous perish, and no man lay it to heart or mind, and merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. Evil means what? Bad times. Verse 2, he shall enter into peace, meaning what? The spiritual realm. They shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness. Rest in their beds, meaning what? Residing in the spiritual realm due to the process of death, right? You can't get around this. And all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, right? Now, when Jeremiah 30 and 9, again, but they shall serve the Lord Yahweh their power in the kingdom of heaven, once all prophecies are fulfilled, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them in the kingdom of heaven, when all prophecies are fulfilled. Okay? So King David is resting. Okay? There's nothing new under the sun. And also, if you can receive this, Moses came back as King David, all right? And that same spirit came back as Peter, and that same spirit came back as who? King Masha, right? And even when you think about the spirit, right? Let's go to Matthew 16 and 18. And I say also unto you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Major focal point. Peter is the head of the church, right? Peter was there for the initial stages of building the truth. King Masha was here for the initial stages of building the church. All right. Same way King Aslaki, the same way Peter was there during the initial phases of building the church 2,000 years ago. But Peter came back through the process of reincarnation as King Masha, right? And he was here during the initial phases of building the church this time frame. All right. And also Moses. Did Moses go into the promised land? No, not as Moses, but he went as King David. All right. See, nothing is new. Nothing is new under the sun. History repeats itself because it's the same spirits coming back on earth through the process of reincarnation. Okay. And another key point too, Hosea 3 and chapter 3. And let's just jump down to the point. Hosea 3 and 3. And I said unto her, you shall abide for me many days. You shall not play the harlot, and you shall not be for another man. So will I also be for you. Verse 4, for the children of Israel, right? And this is all symbolic talk going into Hosea 3 and 3. For the sons of Israel shall abide many days without a king, literal, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim, meaning no priesthood as well. Verse 7, afterward, meaning future tense, and guess what? We are in this time frame now. Shall the sons of Israel return? So we have returned, right? We have returned, beginning when? In 1969, right? Afterward shall the sons of Israel return, seeking the old paths, right? Jeremiah 6 and 16. And seek the Lord Yahweh their power and David their king. Seek in the Hebrew meaning search, asking questions about who is our power, what is his true name, all right? What is his son's name, and who is King David? It only makes sense asking questions, right? That's what that seek is going into when you research it in the Hebrew. And shall fear the Lord Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days. The latter days is going into a time frame, not a specific time frame, but the latter days. All right. And this regarding the latter days was initiated starting in 1969, all the way up until now. There's no specific date, okay, nor time. However, this is just insinuating a time frame, right? Latter, according to the Hebrew Strong's H 319 or 319, pronounced as Aha Ra Yath, which means the end, latter time, prophetic in future time, last, hindermost. Okay, so meaning in the end. And we are in the end of the end. Because remember, Hebrews, I think it's 1 and 2. Well, let me start at 1. The Most High, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, have in these last days spoken unto us by his Son. So the last days were deemed or classified when Yahushua walked the earth 2,000 years ago. Now imagine 2,000 years forward, right? Whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. So when we equate Hosea chapter 3, this is just talking about the end times. And the end times, okay, can be initiated in 1969 when Abba Bivens began being that herald for Yahushua again. And of course, Abba Bivens, if you can receive this in the spirit, was John the Baptist, who was Elijah. All right, so King David will rise out of his bed, okay? But prophecies has to be fulfilled, including those 2 major prophecies. Now, it's my belief that King David will be risen to see the destruction / downfall of America, okay? So, Lord, will you are edified. Context is extremely important. Context is key. Shalom.